First and Now is the official BC Lions podcast and radio show. We're on 730 CKNW, and it's presented by World Vision Canada. Join the BC Lions at the Walk for Water event on October 5th at McLeod Stadium in Langley, and find out how you could win a 2026 road trip for two with the team by participating. Visit bclions.com/6K for details. Matt Baker, Bob Marjanovic, Nik Kowalski. Back for a rematch with Ottawa. It's our campus clash presented by Triple O's Burgers. The tailgate party, backyard party, features a Pamela Anderson lookalike contest. And it's fitting because, Moj, you once won a Tom Selleck lookalike contest. Did you not?
Yeah, many.
For those who aren't aware, explain how that went down.
Yeah, it was at Western Washington down there. I was down there for a little bit, and they had a Tom Selleck lookalike contest. I wound up winning. I think I wound up winning season tickets. No, that was a jalapeno pepper eating contest where I won the season tickets to the Mariners.
Even better.
So I won a Tom Selleck lookalike contest back in the day when I had hair, mustache, good looks. Check out my Instagram page if you don't believe me. At The Real Moj, you'll see physical evidence of it.
So Nicky, he's still getting the Moj education here. But so you went from looking like Tom Selleck to looking like Bruce Willis, right?
Yep.
There we go.
To looking like Shrek.
There you go.
Go figure.
Well, you're not Shrek anymore. You're looking svelte these days.
That's
good. Yeah. All right.
For those video listeners, you have your proof right now.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. And hey, we've got a lot to talk about on this episode. We might as well rehash it now, fellas. Lions losing in rather stunning fashion, 34-33. Hey, we always boast about it. No lead is safe in the CFL, and this Lions team found out the hard way. Moj, you had a few days to recap it, look at it, digest it. Where did it go wrong in your eyes?
Killer instinct. To me, like so many times in that game, there was an opportunity to just finish the game. And the Lions let the Red Blacks off the hook. And they've done this in previous games as well. But, as much as people are pointing the finger at the defense, and of course they have their load of blame to share, but even the offense, I mean, you get the ball late in the game, run out the clock, get a couple of first downs, call it a day. It was a 2-and-out. Of course, Whitey comes out, misses the field goal, and unfortunately Ottawa has more life. But to me, it's just overall, they need to develop a killer instinct both on offense and defense.
And we talked about it too, Nick. I'll let you say what you were going to say, but if Sean makes that field goal, we're talking about killer instinct. Found a way, made it interesting, but found a way.
Yeah, and it's a bunch of ifs, right? And that's the problem right now. Like Moj was saying, no killer instinct. But I mean, again, it's one of those games where we kind of teased it in the trailer leading up to the game, where as long as you have a guy like Nathan Rourke on offense, no matter who you're playing, you should have a chance to win. And that's the case again, right? Even if this game's a shootout and that's how it just unfolded, at the same time, the offense pretty much spotted. It wasn't a pick six like the game in Toronto, but the offense still spotted Ottawa 7 points in the third quarter there off that when Nathan's pass bounced off Keon's hands, and Ottawa scores, I think, on the first play of that drive in the red zone that starts, right? And that's where I'm looking at, because the Lions are still dead last in the CFL with a -12 turnover ratio. Only two teams have a turnover ratio worse than -2. And the other team that is in that category is Winnipeg. And that's a team right now that's also trying to find out ways to close games, and that's not happening. So the turnovers has got to get cleaned up, right? Even if it's a shootout, that's fine. We have Nathan Rourke, but when you're spotting them 7 points, like it happened in Toronto, like what happened in Ottawa, makes it more of an uphill battle.
Yeah, Lions took, a 10-3 lead to the locker room at halftime? 10-3, 13-3?
I think it was 13. We're joking. Nothing's happening.
Yeah, well, and for me, I mean, you mentioned turnovers. What gave Ottawa life in that second half, really? It was what went down as an interception. The throw to Hatch there goes through his hands or deflects off his hands into an Ottawa defender, and the Red Blacks capitalize. Yes, the Lions delivered a couple of counter punches, but really, it's those mistakes that can really do you in at the end of it.
Oh, yeah, mistakes, you can call it bad luck, whatever. I mean, obviously a deflected pass, and, you look at the game and Rourke has 2 interceptions. One was off a deflected pass, and the other one was basically a Hail Mary at the end. So I don't look at, Nathan's performance and say he's to blame for 2 picks. But to me, like I said, it's about when you have a team down, finish them. And the Lions clearly didn't do that against the Ottawa REDBLACKS. And that's something they got to learn. It's a mindset. right? And it starts, with your coaching staff, and it filters down to your leaders and then to your foot soldiers. But it's a mindset that they have to start developing, and that is, when the going gets tough and the pressure's on, and you've got to elevate your game, finish the game, and move forward.
And the other major topic, I think, coming out from that loss is the discipline aspect of it, right? 9 penalties for 105 yards, a lot of 15-yard majors in that fourth quarter. A lot of them were preventable right after the whistle, and a lot of them were penalties, right? And that's ultimately the team made mistakes, but doesn't mean you lose because you make mistakes.
It compounds them.
Yeah, it adds and adds, and it was kind of a boulder into what happened in that last drive, right? And listening to Buck Pierce's media scrums today, he said the team is internally handling that, and from here on out, you can only just hope that it translates to the field from this final stretch.
Well, the crazy thing is, it's almost like a different guy every time, right? Yep. For the most part. But at the same time, eventually there's going to be a message that's going to be sent. I mean, you just cannot keep this. You can't have this occurring over and over and over. Eventually, a message has to be sent. Somebody has to be sat or cut or whatever. But it's not. You can't tolerate this if you want to be a winning football team.
Yeah, and it's hard to focus on some of the positives after that, but Seven McGee, we've been saying for a matter of time. It's only a matter of time before he breaks one out. 93 yards to the house. That put the Lions up 17, I believe, as part of that crazy third quarter. And that's definitely something that they can build on. You get instant field position or the odd score from 7. There you go, right?
Yeah, no, he's been a tremendous add in my opinion, because he has explosiveness, right? And I think that's something I think we can say has been lacking the last couple of years in the return game, right? And fun fact too, not to make this about me, but that was the first kick or punt return I've ever filmed with the BC Lions. So that kind of goes to the point that that spot has been lacking a little explosiveness. And now 7, he's returned in 8 games so far this season, and he has returns of 90, 93, 82, 61 against Toronto. That 92-yarder in Edmonton that got called back, that had nothing to do with him, right? So while you're maybe trading a little bit of ball security issues that came up at the start of his tenure with the Lions, the explosiveness that he brings, I think it's all worth it.
Julio asked me during the broadcast, who was the last Lion to return a punt for a touchdown? My answer was Darnell Clash. So kind of tells a little bit where we're at.
And I made sure I got that to you guys. I texted Trevor Martins. Here it is. Lucky Whitehead, November 19th, 2021 against the Edmonton Elks. A final game of that season. You would have seen a field goal return touchdown, though.
Terry Williams.
Missed field goal.
Terry Williams
versus Ottawa.
Yeah.
Crazy comeback.
So that's why I said punt or kick return, because it hasn't happened yet. And I think the other positive, if we're trying to take some silver linings from that game, the interior, the defensive line, maybe the defensive line as a whole, tons of pressure on Dustin Crum, right? Maybe not as much as you'd like toward the end of the game, but that was a hell of a game from Jonah Tavares.
He was a beast.
I mean, Marcus Morris seems to always make his impact when he gets into the lineup. Kamoko Ture had some plays, right? Betts was still active, I thought. So that's another takeaway, I thought. And with our mobile quarterback like Dustin Crum, got to get after him.
And by the way, just closing out the return thing, the last kickoff return touchdown for the BC Lions, it's a guy you don't even remember.
Larry Crawford.
Pretty much.
What year? What year?
2019.
Brandon Retley.
No, good guess. He had one that year against Winnipeg, week 1, but that wasn't the last one.
I mean, there's been a couple of random returners.
Ryan Langford.
Oh, I should have known that.
Remember him? Most would have called it, and he doesn't.
You don't remember Ryan Langford?
Yeah.
So Ryan Langford, fun fact about him, the Bombers, I think it was 19 or 18. He was a receiver, right? A little small receiver. He could kick too. So one game, the Bombers had like second or third place locked up in the West. They went to Edmonton. They sat Justin Nedlock and dressed Ryan Langford, receiver, as their place kicker for that game.
I don't remember that either.
Look it up. I remember Pat McAfee was talking about it, but Langford was involved in one of those, when the infamous one is that Montreal-Toronto game where they're punting back and forth.
Yeah.
Langford was involved in one of those in Montreal for the Bombers too. Just hilarious. And he put off like a 50-yard kick during it too.
Yeah. Love it. In a couple minutes, we're going to talk more about the Red Blacks with Mike Sutherland, radio color guy on TSN Radio. Cousin AJ's partner. Be working alongside AJ Jakubic. But we have a couple minutes before that. We're talking on Tuesday night, of course, recording this on Tuesday. We've only had the 1 day of practice. They elected to not have an on-field day on Monday. They did some film, did some conditioning in the tent, did some lifting and all that. But As far as the lineup goes, hopeful that Gary Peters can get back in, whether that's at the expense of someone like Jalen Edwards-Cooper, we shall see. Looked like a bit of a shuffle on the D line too, Moj, with Marcus Moore playing at end. What is your overall thoughts on some of that adjustment?
Well, Kamoka Ture didn't practice,
Of course.
I go with Marcus, and Dwayne Hendricks is getting ready to get back in, so that'll give him a little bit more push inside. But like you said, the defensive line, and Nik pointed this out, I thought had a really strong game against Ottawa, particularly in the first half, and get Hendricks back and hopefully get a couple more pieces here. I know they've airlifted a couple of guys in the last couple of weeks, so hopefully they can start contributing, and we'll see. Hopefully the defense can start from there and hopefully build from the D line on back and to get better.
One other quick lineup note with the Ottawa game is obviously Gary Peters' Ironman streak ends at 115 games, right? That's what it was?
Yep.
Yeah, so rookie Cam Stone comes in, first ever pro game, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so first ever pro game. I mean, I barely noticed him, and that's a compliment as a defensive back, right? I think the one time I noticed him was on that trick Justin Hardy pass and open field with Geno Lewis. He has a PBU, right? So I'll give some kudos to Cam Stone too, because usually you only notice defensive backs if they're getting beat, and I didn't see that happening on Friday.
No, yeah, definitely always a good sign. I mean, time and time and again we say it. You bring these young guys in, and you don't really know until you give them a shot to play. So. And yeah, who knows? Could be a couple of additions before the end of the week. You never know. We're in that period, that practice roster expansion period. Bradley Anai, another guy they're high on, a draft pick of the Dallas Cowboys, played a handful of games over 2 seasons, was with the 49ers in training camp. So, that's a guy, perhaps another injury away from getting a guy in, offensive lineman Brandon Yates, the other addition. So looking forward to seeing what these guys will bring. Just the one practice so far, Nicky, not much of a sample size yet. Yeah,
and Ryan Rigman today talked to the media about that they're looking to add, right? Like you said, the roster expansion period is here, and obviously the recent results kind of call for additions, right? So we'll see what happens.
First and Now is presented in part by Hullo Ferries, proud island transportation partner of the BC Lions. Go easy, go Hullo. Just getting started here on your Tuesday First and Now tradition. We have Kowalski's world-famous trivia to end the night. We'll talk more about this rematch and all the other extracurricular activities going on in our third segment. But coming up next, we'll get a Red Blacks perspective. What did that win do to boost morale in Ottawa? All of a sudden, you can't really count out any team in this playoff race. Should make things exciting over the final 6-7 weeks of the CFL season. That's coming up on First and Now on 730 CKNW and wherever you get your podcasts. Back on First and Now, brought to you by Main Road Group, your roads, your team, connecting communities and driving your legacy. Lions and Red Blacks here on CKNW Friday, Able Auctions pregame show 6 o'clock with the man to my left, Bob Marjanovic, and of course, Julio Caravetta. And we'll get a perspective from the nation's capital right now. It's former offensive lineman turned analyst Mike Sutherland on TSN 1200. He'll have the call there, along with our pal AJ Jakubic on Friday night. Sudsy, how are you?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to being on the West Coast in a few days.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Always love talking Red Blacks football, and have to start just kind of your perspective of the ending last week. What's the mood in our nation after they, let's be honest, probably snapped victory from the jaws of defeat, to use an old saying?
Yeah, well said. Well said. This team, historically this season, has had slow starts. So that's exactly what we saw against the Lions at TD Place. And they find a way somehow in the second half to come back and to they've come close or they've won with these crazy comebacks. And that's that kind of resiliency that you see that's starting to build with this team. And, Crum back version 2, I guess, is what they're calling it. Dustin decided to put this team on its back, and he literally and figuratively, he really, put his body in harm's way a couple of times just to get that extra yardage, and that kind of passion and that kind of thing that can really rally a team. I think when you're down and you need something, you need a spark, you need something to ignite, and I think that's what we saw from Dustin Crum. So I'm looking forward to seeing the rematch. It's always tough to play back to back, as you guys know.
You know, Mike, when I think of that game, it was a very entertaining game. Obviously, you guys were on the right end of the score. We weren't. But for me, I felt happy for the fans of Ottawa. And I say that because I believe you have great football fans there, and they've been through so much adversity, through so much, so many difficult seasons. I mean, I did the math prior to the game. Only 3 winning seasons since 1980, right? For Ottawa football fans.
Wow.
I mean, they deserve better. They're great fans. And to see them get to enjoy that, to me, if there was one positive out of it, to me, that was it, that the fans in Ottawa got that great experience and got rewarded for some of their loyalty.
Yeah, and to finally leave TD Place with a good feeling, like you just said, it's been a long time coming, I think, for this group. And you know what? God bless the football fans in Ottawa. People that were football fans when I was a young boy growing up, football fans, their families are still football fans. So the diehards are still there. And you're absolutely right. They deserve to have another chance at a better feeling when they leave the building, which is finally what they got on Friday.
Mike, it was pretty evident to me that in the first half last week, like the high flying BC Lions offense, they weren't so high flying, right? And I think that speaks a lot to the scheme and the defensive personnel on the Red Black side. So, there's household names on that defense, I think, like Lorenzo Malden or Darius Pickett. But who are some names on that unit that, have stepped up and the average CFL fan that you'd tell them to keep an eye out for?
Yeah, you got it. On that interior line, we all talk about Malden on the edge, but a guy like Michael Wakefield on that defensive tackle position has been great with pushing that defense, pushing that offensive line, getting penetration. You think of a guy like Jovan Santos Knox in that linebacker position has been all over. Honestly, that group that Pickett and Santos Knox and the I'm sorry about it, I can't remember his name. I think it's anyway, the third linebacker. That's a really thank you. Corby has actually come back just from injury. Last week, that was his first game back on Friday against the Lions. So that group has been a really bright spot, I think, for this defense. And the style is different. I think what we saw last year with Baron Miles was a different kind of defense. This is a more aggressive defense. I think the style and the way coach is putting it together is a little bit more aggressive. And Mark Milton had to step in that defensive backfield on Friday and did a tremendous job. So, they're putting people in place. You gotta think of. I saw a graphic not too long ago of man games lost, in the CFL. This probably goes back 3 weeks now, but nevertheless, at that 3 weeks ago, the Red Blacks had more than double the nearest team to them in man games lost to injury. So it's been more than difficult, I think, for this team in terms of what they've been forced to deal with the change of personnel, with the having to figure out the ratio. Early in the season, when you lose Canadians, you're in a difficult spot, because the reality is early in the season, if there's a Canadian around that's good enough to play, he's playing somewhere. He's on an active roster and he's playing. So losing Canadians early, offensive linemen, or that puts you in a real bind. And that's what happened to this team early. And then figuring out how to find good guys that next man up is exactly what it's supposed to be in Canadian football. But you need guys that are going to be able to deliver when they're given that opportunity. And sometimes early injuries, especially to Canadians, that's a scarce resource. That can be pretty scarce, in the early part of this season. So hats off to this group for being able to kind of keep it together and give themselves a chance, because it's not done yet, but that win on Friday goes a long way to helping them at least have a chance to the postseason.
Yes, he's talking about injuries. Of course, they've dealt with it at the quarterback position. Looks like Dustin Crum getting most of the work in again this week. Just how would you describe him, being around him, and how the teammates have kind of embraced him? Because, like you said, he's led a couple of legendary comebacks in his few opportunities.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had some doubts about Dustin Crum early on, especially to jump in this season. From my perspective as a former lineman, I just want to remind people that this team has not had the same group of 5 linemen together, with the exception of about 4 games. And that goes back I think 1 or 2 games ago. So there's a block of 4 games in there where the same group was finally together for 4 games in a row. And I think we saw an improvement in Dustin Crum as that offensive line got better and the protection was better. I think we saw more of what Dustin Crum's able to do. And as that's going to improve because they've had their struggles up front. This Red Blacks team has had their struggles up front. So as that improves, we're going to see more from Dustin Crum. So I think what we saw on Friday night is a little bit better protection. Routes are developing a little bit more. He's able to get through a couple more reads before he's able to make a decision. And I think the danger with him, well, one, he's really easy to support. When you see guys around him in the locker room, he's just an easy guy to rally around. But the other thing is he has this kind of deceptive speed, and I'm sure you guys have noticed it too. He's got a kind of a long stride. Once he gets going, it doesn't look like he's going very fast, but he's covered an immense amount of ground with every stride. So there's kind of that deceptive speed, and when he needs to make an exit because of pressure or for whatever reason, he's able to do that damage. So don't have to explain what that does with the contained personnel on defense, with the pressure it puts on them to really make sure that they're trying to keep them in. It's a different game when you're trying to prep for a guy that's able to do that. I guess the flip side, and with the team going through injuries like we've seen, how do you manage his want to carry the team like on Friday and the injury risk? Because they're in not a good position right now for Dustin Crum to go down and to be in a position where they lose another starting quarterback. So you don't want to diminish his passion, and you don't want to take away from what he's trying to do and those sparks like we talked about that you get when he does those big plays with his feet. But I think you got to find a middle ground where he kind of figures out a safe way to do it without taking it away from him.
Hey, Mike, you talked about the injuries, and clearly Ottawa's had a ton of them, particularly in the secondary. With injuries come opportunity. Which players, in your estimation, have stepped up and seized that opportunity?
Well, Justin Howell has been thrown in a way into that free safety position, and I think he's responded really well. There's been a rotation around in that defensive backfield, throughout the season, but you got to find, the quarterback of the defense is really that free safety position. He's the communicator. He has to make sure that everyone's on the same page. If you can get a quality Canadian in that position, it helps you also when you're managing the ratio. I think that guy's he's standing out to me in terms of it, and that's in a position where when you look at we'll go back to the injury, the game, the injuries lost to the game injuries lost. It's defensive backs and offensive line. That's the two groups that were most affected by injury this season. So the amount of rotation that's gone through, you need a solid anchor in that free safety position to manage and to get everyone else together. Because we talk about offensive line being on the same page, that defensive backfield. Those guys, they really have to know what each other is doing. And when you're moving guys around, the feeling that you get and the unspoken kind of communication that comes with reps and playing together, you're missing that because it's the new guy. It's a revolving door. So you need an anchor, and I think he's done a tremendous job.
And Mike, we alluded to it a bit off the top, but the rematch goes down Friday night in Vancouver. I was looking at the Ottawa franchise's all-time record at Vancouver, and it's 7-30-2. So maybe this might be a bad question for you, but in your time as a player in the CFL, what was it about Vancouver, or did you go like 8-0 in Vancouver and I just don't know about that?
Yeah, no, I wish we did. I wish we did. It's always tough going to play in Vancouver. I know it's an excuse, and we'll always, Eastern teams traveling west and the time change and everything. It's not an easy place to play. I mean, back in the day when I was playing there, they still had the inflated roof. So, yeah. It was actually particularly hot in the summer to go play there. Those were difficult conditions to go and play in. My first season is 96 with the Alouettes. So, 96 through 2000 with the Owls, every time we went to BC, we were up against it. It didn't really matter. So we saw some great teams, and quick story, if you guys will allow me. We talk about records, and we all talk about the Labor Day and how important it is to be playing your best football as the season comes to an end. Well, a quick story about my experience with this and the BC Lions, in fact. So 2000, I'm playing for the Alouettes. We finished, I'm going to say 13-5, confidently, really solid in the East. The BC Lions, terrible beginning of the season. I think, that's the season where the coach resigned, 2000.
Yeah, Greg
So
Mons. Greg Mons resigned or went to the XFL, and Steve Barado took over.
That's right, Barado. Okay, so Barado takes over. They end up winning like 4 of 5 or something like that at the end of the season. They use that momentum into the postseason, squeak in. They finish with an 8-10 record. Mm-hmm. So the Alouettes, 13-5. I don't know how they do it, but the BC Lions end up making it. We're playing in Calgary, 2000, against the 8-10 BC Lions, and they beat us. They beat us in that Grey Cup.
Yeah.
So, people think the record in the regular season, that's not how it works in the CFL. You know what I mean? It doesn't. It's how you're playing. Really, kind of in the beginning. We're in the beginning of that chunk of how you need to be playing if you're going to ride that horse into the postseason. This is where it starts. So, when we look at Friday, not only the importance for both teams, because the crossover remains very much alive for the Lions, but it also remains alive for the Eskimos right now. So, Ottawa going into BC against, you guys just said it, against all odds, but getting a win would go a long way to protecting themselves, narrowing, narrowing the possibility of the crossover. But then, for Ottawa anyways, there's a back-to-back against Montreal that's likely going to determine whether or not they're going to have a seat at the table.
Yeah, Montreal all of a sudden not exactly in the same control as far as second goes. So, yeah, it's great history there. The 2000 Lions, in fact, last year were inducted onto our Wall of Fame. Wow. So, historic Grey Cup.
Well, say hi to Jamie Terrace for me.
Harris, he's he's in the office right down here right now. So,
I'm sure. Yeah, say hi to Jamie. Great.
We'll send him to the booth there on Friday.
Oh, please do. Yeah, I'd love to say hi.
Well, looking forward to that. You look at the game on Friday, the rematch. What are some of the keys in your mind?
Well, you know what? I think Ottawa found a pretty good little formula. Nathan Rourke didn't look like the Nathan Rourke that we traditionally knew. So I think defensively, they seem to have found something that's able to kind of scramble things up for him. So, yeah, with the exception of a couple of wrinkles, I think defensively, I think it was a pretty solid outing for Ottawa. Offensively, I'm going to say it again, and we've been saying it since probably the beginning of this season. But they can't dig such a big hole, and always count on the opportunity to get themselves out, which is what they've miraculously done time and time again. But they have to figure out a way to come out and right out the gate and start playing football right away. I mean, first drive, you know what I mean? Come out the gate and really push things and get it going, because the idea that you can go to BC and let's just mirror the game from last Friday. The idea that you can go to BC, put yourself in a hole like you did there, and expect to be able to get out, it's unlikely. So for Ottawa, offensively, right out the gate, you got to start firing all cylinders early, and give yourself a chance.
Well said, my friend. We appreciate you taking the time. Always love talking football, and we'll perhaps pay you a visit in the booth on Friday.
Please do, guys. It's a pleasure, man. Anytime.
See you Friday.
Thanks Mike. And we'll be back to go around what is a busy week 15 coming up on First and Now.
Lions fans and students, get ready for Campus Clash. Friday, September 12th, under the lights at BC Place, the BC Lions take on the Ottawa REDBLACKS at 7 p.m. Rep your school colors, alumni, or current students for your chance to win $10,000. Plus, score $19 tickets and $5 beers all night long. Pack the stands, get loud, and show your pride. Tickets at bclions.com. That's bclions.com. Roar as one.
Back on First and Now, brought to you in part by Main Road Group, your roads, your team, connecting communities and driving our legacy. Lions and Redblacks, Able Auctions pregame show Friday at 6 o'clock p.m. Yourself and Julio Caravetta, a couple other special guests probably as the night goes on.
Cousin AJ.
Cousin AJ.
Going to be on the pregame show.
Hey, Rig Maiden's back in town. Maybe you're due for
halftime with Ryan.
Maybe Riggs is. I'll get the communications guy to line that up for you. We'll get
pretty
that
good.
done.
I heard he's pretty good.
He's usually pretty good.
Comms guy, yeah.
He bats about 92%. Week 15. Wow. Where has the time gone? Now we'll talk a bit more about the matchup here in a few minutes, but again, we're really in that stretch now where a lot of these games matter as far as what the Lions are looking to happen. I tell you what, if this Lions team closes that out in Ottawa, they'd be tied with Winnipeg right now at 6-6, but can't worry about that anymore. Just have to worry about what's in front of you. The first half of the doubleheader on Friday is the Blue Bombers in Hamilton. That's the Hall of Fame game. Congrats again to Jovan Olafioye and the class of 2025. But Solly, he was in. Solly's getting his number retired. Yeah, October 4th. He went into that hall in 2023. But still, congrats in order for Solly, of course.
I know he's going to some hall this year.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's too many Hall of Fames to count.
So easy to get into, do some of these. I mean, Caravetta's in the BC Sports Hall of Fame.
He must have.
The Football Hall of Fame.
He might.
Farhan? You kidding?
Well, Farhan, he's got influence everywhere.
It tells you I'm not in any, so it tells you it must be really easy.
Well, we'll keep lobbying for you.
No, but, I won't accept.
There you go.
I don't like people.
Yeah, that plays a big role.
All right.
But Bombers and Ticats, Zach Collaros, not surprisingly, has not been at practice this week after taking that high hit. Be a tough spot for the Bombers on Friday, perhaps.
Okay, first off.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was
Let's
not
rant.
a high hit. It wasn't a dirty hit. It was a football play, right?
Yeah.
And all this crap that's being spewed out on social media. Oh, it's dirty. He should be out as long as Zach is. Give me a break. It's football. It's a contact sport. It wasn't a dirty hit. He didn't lead with the crown of his head. He had his face. There's an expression, see what you can hit. If you look at his face mask is right there. He sees what he's hitting. Not a dirty hit. Football play by the letter of the law in the Canadian Football League. Hey, you graze a helmet, you sneeze on the quarterback's helmet. Well, it's a flag. So by the letter of the law, okay, I'll give it to you. It's a penalty. But to me, it was a football play. And then I'm reading these comments. Oh, he should have targeted. Are you kidding me? The guy's coming in at 90 miles an hour,
fast, yeah.
And he made a nice tackle on the play. Oh, he should have aimed here, or he should have done this. Give me a break. It's comical, some of the takes that I'm reading on social media.
Yeah, I'm with you, Moj, that it's not a dirty hit, not a headshot, right? Because I think those words involve a targeted jolt.
Intent to injure. Yeah. It wasn't intent to injure. Right.
But at the same time, it's still helmet-to-helmet contact, right? So that's where the roughing the passer penalty comes in. It's a tough play, obviously. I think you would like to see the tackler go a little lower and maybe, punishing him, whether it's a 15-yard penalty and ejection. That maybe next time that happens in that situation, you think twice about trying to go a little lower.
What? It's a football play. He's
hitting lower, going lower.
How lower do you want him to go? You can't go
lower than
his knees.
Lower than his head.
Up top. What are you talking about head? He didn't even barely graze his head.
So how did Zach Collaros' head get hurt? Why is he out with
when he slammed the turf? Basically,
I don't think so. I think it was from.
And now, by the way, the guy's only had about 32 concussions. Maybe that came into play.
So protect him, right? See,
how much do you want to protect him?
I would set a standard that.
You know what? If Zach Collaros got up, if that was any other quarterback, there wouldn't even been a penalty on the play.
I disagree because there was the helmet contact at the end of the day.
Yeah, see if they would have thrown the challenge flag on it. It's Zach Collaros.
Michael Shea did.
There you go.
He did challenge. I think I'm not.
Yeah, it was reviewed and then called, right?
Yeah. And again, it's helmet to helmet contact. That just can't happen at the end of the day. It's not a dirty hit. CJ Reeves isn't a dirty player, but at the end of the day, you're responsible for your actions.
The league has gone I understand what they're trying to do and protect the quarterback.
Yeah, you have to.
But to me, there's going to be okay, if everyone's so concerned about player safety, how come when you see helmet-to-helmet contact between a running back and a defender, why isn't that a penalty then?
Yeah, I think quarterbacks get special rules.
Why isn't that a penalty? It's about player safety, isn't it? What's the difference between a quarterback safety and a running back safety or a receiver safety?
I think you value player safety at the end
Oh,
of the day.
okay. So quarterbacks are more valuable and trying to keep them
not
healthier.
their health.
Okay, I'm just saying. So in other words, what you're saying, who cares about receivers or running back getting concussions? But a quarterback, hey, that's totally different.
I think not the health of a player, but having.
Well, no, you are saying the health of the player. You're saying the health of a quarterback is more important than a receiver or running back.
No, but
that's the way football is structured.
You can't afford to have your quarterbacks get injured, right? It's bottom line, right?
Because you want to keep your quarterback. I understand that. You want to keep your quarterbacks in the league, and you want to talk about player safety. But at the same time, I just kind of find it ironic that when the same play occurs with a running back or a receiver, you have helmet-to-helmet contact. It's rarely called, if at all.
Yeah, and I think it's
you graze a quarterback's head, and it's a penalty.
It's just naturally more in the spotlight too, right? That's the bottom line. And it injured Zach Collaros. He's out with a head injury right now on the injury report, and that's the result, right? And I think that just can't happen. I would be livid if that happened to Nathan Rourke, for example, right?
Well, we wouldn't be happy, but at the same time, on a hit like that, are we calling for a suspension? I don't know.
No.
I don't think so. Yeah,
that hit didn't even warrant an ejected, never mind a suspension.
Yeah,
I'm going to hold in my opinion on that one.
No, bring it out. Bring it out.
We're not talking.
Are you going to suspend him for like a game?
We're not asking for players to get suspended on this podcast. We're on the line there.
That's above our pay grade.
Yes, exactly, Baker.
Keep going. I love this. I love this passion. Let's keep going. No.
What do you want to bring up?
Tragically hip. No.
What about some NFL takeaways though?
Okay,
that's an inside joke with the tragically hip, by the way.
Yeah, they say we're not supposed to do inside jokes on the radio, but what do you say? Moj isn't the biggest.
Well, we wanted to. Okay. Moj was
their own.
Talking about how overrated the song 50 Mission Cap is at practice today.
It makes my ears bleed.
I think that's a crazy take, but
I like the hip. Yeah. Is 50 Mission Cap their best song? No, but interesting story. Bill Barilko was discovered next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Barilko,
yes. Week 15. We were talking week 15. Yes. Saturday, Toronto hosting Edmonton. Argos, of course, have not played since our visit there last week of August. But the Elks all of a sudden tied with the BC Lions at 5-7. I'm sticking with quarterbacks here. We think we're going to see Chad Kelly this week, Nick. That's
I think it's Nick Arbuckle. If I'm not
For
mistaken.
sure?
I can do a little Google search on the fly, but I think they announced Nick Arbuckle.
Oh, they did. Okay, so I must have missed something earlier today. But
Nick Arbuckle is starting against Edmonton.
Okay,
but they have quite a controversy on their hands right now because Nick is playing some good ball.
At any rate, this is a result the Lions and the fans will be keeping an eye on. Moj, both the Elks and Elks 5-7, Argos 4-8.
Hey, you know what? Right now with the Lions, as much as people want to scoreboard watch, I hope the players on this team aren't scoreboard watching because who cares what everyone else does? You just have to win.
Handle your business.
Handle your business. Don't worry about all the other stuff and scoreboard watching. Just go out there and win football games. If you do that, you're going to be fine. You don't need to scoreboard watch. But, if you get into this habit now of you're watching other games, if Edmonton beats Toronto, if these guys win, no, just go out there and handle your business. That's what you do.
I appreciate the mindset of a guy like Micah Alway too, and what he's been kind of preaching lately. He's talked about it to the media today, and that's even if we do get lucky and scoreboard watching works out our way, and we get into the playoffs and wherever they may be, right? If this team doesn't improve and learn from their mistakes, it doesn't matter because the teams like the Saskatchewans and the Calgarys and the proven commodities like Winnipeg. And come playoff time, they're going to play their best ball, and it won't matter, right?
It's going to be a one and done.
Yeah, so no matter what, you can worry about everybody else as much as you want, but I think right now the focus of this organization is all internal.
The final game of the week, later on Saturday, Montreal in Saskatchewan. McLeod Bethel Thompson, some more quarterback news, pulled early from the 6-game injured list. The Alouettes have to get something going. Yes, they've been ravaged with injuries, especially at quarterback with Davis Alexander, but their grip on second in the East is hanging on by a thread.
Yeah, and you thought maybe last week getting all those bodies back, Mustafa Johnson making his season debut, Philpott Duquad, that it was going to make a difference in soggy Montreal, but Hamilton took it to them. And the surprising part to me in last week's result was the success Hamilton had on the ground, right? James Butler is a good standard, I think, to follow for run success, right? And Butler, we talked about Ottawa's run defense, not the biggest game from him last week, but even that Montreal games, Butler's production wasn't the standard you're used to seeing, and that's because Montreal typically has a great run defense. Ottawa too. But Hamilton with Greg Bell found a way to do it. So that impressed me, and that was a pivotal game too in the Eastern standings.
All right, First and Now is presented in part by Hullo Ferries, a proud island transportation partner of the BC Lions. Go easy, go Hullo. Trivia time is just around the corner. We wrap it up. Excited for this theme. Don't know what it is yet, but whatever it is, I'm sure Nik has cooked up something great as usual. Coming up on First and Now on 730 CKNW and wherever you get your podcasts. Back on First and Now. We'll have the final say on this matchup here in just a couple of minutes. But first, Nik Kowalski's world-famous trivia. What do we got?
We're going back to college for this one. And
Uh-oh.
Of course, right? The campus clash theme on Friday. We encouraging the fans in attendance to rep their colleges, universities, what have you. So I dug up some of our players' game logs from their best college performances. I'm going to provide you guys a stat line, and you have to guess which player this was. So it's going to be the stat line
From college.
and the date and the opponent. So that should narrow it down, help you guys out a little bit. There's some international games that I will get into, but we'll start with this one. So on October 8th, 2016 versus Alabama, this guy had 4 catches for 39 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Hatch.
I think that's an easy one. Okay, we guys are warmed up. So that was Keon Hatcher. Shout out Hatch. Big game against Alabama. How about this one? November 6th, 2021 versus Boise State. This player had 6 tackles, 3 sacks, and 4 tackles for loss.
Marcus Moore.
Incorrect. What do you got, Baker?
Dwayne Hendricks.
Incorrect.
No,
This guy,
be a Western guy. Jonah Tavai.
Jonah Tavai is
okay,
correct. The San Diego State Aztec.
Yeah.
Big game against
Moj
Boise.
might win this.
This one's an easy one. I'll warm you guys up, but our listeners can play along too. So see, the listeners, if you're hearing right now, you should get this one. So on October 31st, 2017 versus Miami of Ohio, this player had 294 passing yards, 54 rushing yards, and 6 total touchdowns.
Nathan Rourke.
It's Nathan Rourke.
Yeah.
How about this one? Here, we're going international now. November 6th, 2021 versus Calgary. International, Canada. 3 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss.
What's the date again?
November 6th, 2021 versus Calgary.
Okay.
3 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss.
Cherry.
What do you got, Baker?
Pickett.
It's Nathan Cherry.
Oh, told you. Moj has the upper hand.
Why didn't you say it right?
So, I was waiting for Baker to answer.
Yeah.
As soon as you get it right, ding.
Okay, it's like
All right,
Jeopardy.
ding.
You get it first. Right?
Yeah.
September 27th, 2014 versus the North Carolina Tar Heels. This player had 8 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 passes defended.
Gary Peters.
We playing as one team here, Moj?
I'll go with Pick. I'll go with Peters on that one.
That is correct. That is Gary Peters. How about this one? December 29th, 2015 versus the LSU Tigers. 17 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss.
Versus
Mike
LSU.
Howie?
Patrice Rene.
That is Micah Awe. Good guess from Moj. You guys are on the right trail, at least, from all of these. We're going back to Canada. November 19th, 2019 versus the Saskatchewan Huskies. This player had 7 tackles, 1 interception, and 1 touchdown.
Ben Hladek.
I would go I'll go with Hladek too.
Hladek is the correct answer. So you guys are rolling. We'll go. This is probably another easy one, but I want to shout this guy because he was a stud in college. On November 7th, 2009 at Stanford, 334 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Passing?
334 passing yards.
And what's the date?
November 7th, 2009.
2009. Jeremiah Mazzoli.
The Oregon Duck. Legendary career. I love
Nathan Rourke was like in grade 5 in 2009.
Case Bryce was in kindergarten.
Yeah, so kind of process of elimination.
Yeah, there you go. That's an easy one, but maybe our fans overlooked it. And then here we go. How about the last one here? November 27th, 2021. 6 tackles, 6 tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 tackles for a loss at the Montreal Carabin. November 27th,
Matthew
2021. 2021.
Oh, Betts would have been drafted already, right?
This could be a bit of a trick question.
No, say again, November 7th?
November 27th, so late into the year, 2021. This team went on quite a run, and this one player had 6 tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 tackles for loss. You have the wrong position. It's a defensive lineman. 2021.
2021 against
The Hardy Cup champs this year. Or the Montreal Carabin. See,
not Adam O'Clair.
Guys. No, you guys are in the wrong conference too. Riley Pickett.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
the Saskatchewan Huskies lost the Vanier Cup
job.
that year in a heartbreaking fashion too. I thought they deserved better, but good job. That's all I got for you guys. So there's some dominant college performances. Also, if you follow the BC Lions official Instagram page, you'll be seeing a graphic carousel that our graphic designer Haley made of these game logs.
Tell you what, Haley is
on top of it.
Haley's our unsung hero this year, I will say.
Yeah.
All those great stats graphics you see, players of the week, honor roll. We won't spoil it completely, but she's made a nice Nathan Rourke one that we're likely going to post on Friday. So
yeah,
there you go.
JB's on 1,000-yard watch too. It's another milestone to watch.
Justin McInnes is 185 away.
And everyone's saying that's his down year.
Yeah,
like that old Aaron Rodgers quote. If my down years are as good as many people's good years.
All right. Yeah, that's exactly right, isn't it? Campus Clash presented by Triple O's Burgers. It's a frat party style backyard tailgate party. 4 o'clock, Jordan? 4 o'clock on Terry Fox Plaza. Pamela Anderson lookalike contest. The winner of that will get a modeling contract.
You want a little piece of trivia?
Let's do it.
Do you know who brought Pamela Anderson to that game? Buddy of mine, we used to play slow pitch together, Jamie Moberg.
Like as a date?
Yeah, like they were pals. And he brought her to the game, and I guess they got the Labatt or the cameraman to pan on her, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Well, wasn't it our old radio buddy Stu Ferguson who claims he was the camera guy who put the camera on her?
I don't know. I don't know that, but I know like Moberg brought her to the game. So
well, there you go.
Legendary stuff. The rest, as they say, is history.
Excellent.
And by the way, have you seen Naked Gun with her and Lee?
I've not seen it yet. Is it good?
I don't know. I haven't seen it. I've heard it's pretty good though, so I'm looking forward to it.
I did go see Weapons over the bye week, and I would highly recommend that movie.
What's that about?
It's a thriller about a bunch of kids going missing from an elementary school. It's a very good movie. Very strong cast too. I'm blanking on her name, but Ruth from Ozark.
Oh yeah,
she's the main character.
Garner, is it? Julia Garner.
Julia Garner. Yeah,
yeah.
So she does a great job.
Excellent. Okay, good to know. Need to download some movies for our next road trip. Well, not really. It's in Calgary next week, so not really.
they're in back. You take on one movie.
You can download a Seinfeld episode.
22 minutes, baby. Let's go. Can get a couple of them in. But yeah, head to bclions.com. All of the Campus Clash info is there. Before we're out of here, you talked about Killer Instinct, Moj, but what's your other major key here?
Well, it's funny. It's just, the old Belichick line. Just do your job, right? Do your job. Trust your teammates. Trust the scheme, and go out there and just play hard, right? And when the opportunity presents itself to finish. Keep playing hard. Don't start letting doubt creep into your mind when things start getting tough, or if it's crunch time, or if there's 4 minutes left. Be the guy that wants to make the play. And I think this team will be fine once it adopts that mindset.
And for me, it's just controlling what you can control, right? We talked about the turnovers. We talked about the penalties. Those are preventable things. Take care of those two aspects of the game, and better results should come.
Well said. I should also mention, as part of the Campus Clash, 3 lucky fans will have the opportunity to win $10,000 to help contribute to fuel their student life. There you go. How good is that? As someone we know.
The Pam Anderson lookalike contest? Just do a Matt Baker lookalike contest.
That's next year, yeah.
That could be way better.
Yeah. Who do I like? Was it Neil McAvoy? You ever watch Suits?
No.
Remember Louis Litt from Suits?
No, I wasn't a Suits guy.
Okay. Rick Hoffman was the actor. Google him after that. Okay. McAvoy says, you kind of look like that guy from Suits. Okay, sure.
I thought maybe like a little bit like Bogdan from Breaking Bad.
With the eyebrows, eh? Yeah, not bad. What a character.
I'm looking this guy up right now. Suits, what was his name?
Rick Hoffman.
Okay, got it.
This is great radio, we know.
No, it's
there he
camera going.
There he is.
Yeah, a little bit.
Not bad.
Yeah. I could think that being Bacon about 55 or so.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I could see it.
Handsome. Bit more handsome. All right, we'll be back next week on First and Now, Lions Redblacks, Friday. Able Auctions pregame show, 6 o'clock. Just do us a favor. Be safe.
Campus Clash, Friday, September 12th. BC Lions versus Ottawa REDBLACKS. $19 tickets, $5 beers, and your chance to win $10,000. Rep your school, win big. Tickets at bclions.com. Roar is one.
All right, and for the podcast listeners, our big bonus as well, he is back. He's got the branded PlayNow.com BC Lions hat as well. I've got myself one of those.
Yep.
Got one in Kamloops. Yeah. Got one. Got to wear it out. It was sunny out there at practice today. Got to remember to protect yourself. Sunscreen, headwear. It is Cam Tucker joining us from BCLC. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, fellas. You know what? I think maybe next year when we look at this, we add in a sunscreen sponsorship to this, given what happened earlier in the summer in Halifax with a little bit of the sunburn. But it's a beautiful day out there. September, boy, the calendar this season's going by really fast. It always seems to. And I'm looking forward to Friday night doubleheader. My idea of paradise in the CFL. So it's going to be an exciting weekend, and we'll see if the BC Lions can't get a win here.
Yeah, Lions, Red Blacks, the second half, as you said, Winnipeg, Hamilton will start it off, but we're going to stick with the home team here. Lions are currently a 9.5-point favorite here, total set at 56 points. Lions have hit the over in 6 straight games, Cam.
Yeah, they're an over machine right now. And I will be honest, I was a little bit surprised to see that the Lions were flirting with being a double-digit favorite going into this game. It's kind of been an up and down season throughout the course of the year. And, the Lions looking at the money line minus 410 right now on the money line as well. So to see the Lions were very close to double digits was certainly interesting. I look at the Ottawa REDBLACKS situation. And Ottawa, ended up sliding the point spreads. Last week kept going towards the Lions, and then Ottawa was a big favorite. I think it closed at about 6.5, maybe 7. So you're looking at a converted touchdown there. The Lions were favored in Ottawa. And now you come back to BC, we'll see where this line goes throughout the course of the week. And I do believe that some of the quarterback situation in Ottawa with Drew Brown, is he going to be ruled out for this week? Or are we going to, have another Crum back, right? So it's one of those things that looking at the quarterback situation, will that impact this line? We'll have to wait and see. But the big thing here is the over. I mean, 56 points, this is a big line. And the over right now is red hot for the BC Lions. And I was looking at the stats over the course of this run. The Lions and their opponents are averaging over 69 points scored per game. And when we look at the totals, I think the highest total was 57 points and the lowest total was 49 points over this 6-game stretch. And looking at we're not even close. We're not even close to breaking a sweat right now on the overs. It's just there's been so many points scored in this game. So there's been so many momentum swings throughout the course of the game, big plays out of nowhere that are really racking up these points. And so for the Lions, this is I guess right now this is the norm. And to be quite honest, looking at how they've trended over each week, do we really see a stopping point here for the over? 56 points is still very high, but the way right now that both teams in Lions games, this is high event football, and right now, both teams are putting up a lot of points. It seems when the BC Lions play, and that's led to profitability for those betting on the over the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, definitely a trend there, Cam. You alluded to it off the top, doubleheader on Friday. Talked about the Ottawa BC game, but what's up with the earlier game on Friday night in the CFL slate?
Yeah, and again, this is kind of interesting. Looking at the Lions, Winnipeg right now is a 7-point underdog against Hamilton to open up this week. And right now, Winnipeg's going through a really tough stretch. Zach Collaros was injured in the Banjo Bowl against the Rough Riders. And right now, I haven't seen any kind of definitive news on his status going into this week. Will he play or will he not? He's been injured 3 times now this season, and then these have been fairly significant injuries. And so you do worry about, or you do wonder about the quarterback situation right now in Winnipeg. And then looking further into this, the Blue Bombers right now are 6-6. They're at 500. I think it's 3-5 against the division. And right now, their Grey Cup odds keep sliding. I mean, we have them tied with Toronto for the 5th best Grey Cup odds at plus 1,400. You look at where we are in the season, early September, this is usually when the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are starting to take over that West Division and starting to kind of run away with it. And this year they're sliding into the middle of the pack. And they look like a team right now that's been that's played a lot of football over the last few years. And it seems like it's starting to catch up with them and some of their veteran players. And so this is kind of unusual territory for the Blue Bombers. So they face a tough task against Hamilton, who's, got the 3rd best odds right now on PlayNow.com to win the Grey Cup at plus 300. And so it is going to be a difficult matchup for Winnipeg going in. And we'll see if they can cover the spread or if they can pull off an upset win. But it is a tall task right now. And for the Lions going into the second half of that doubleheader, not that your scoreboard watching and how you play the game is dictated on the results from out of town. But if Hamilton gets a win and you put Winnipeg at 6-7, the Lions, I mean, there's got to be some urgency regardless of the results from out of town. There's got to be some urgency here to put together a win at home and kind of start to build some momentum going down the stretch drive in hopefully into the playoffs. Because right now that West Division playoff race, as well as the crossover, is starting to tighten up. So you're definitely, I think, keeping an eye on the scoreboard out of town. And right now, Winnipeg is, a 7-point underdog. I mean, this is potentially a big opportunity here for Winnipeg if they get a loss, if they lose this game and the Lions get the win, to start to close that gap and make that West Division playoff race really, really exciting.
Yeah, definitely some big ones on Friday in the CFL schedule. But back to the Lions in Vancouver on Friday night. The bet boost that you got cooking up. We were talking about offense. What are you leaning toward there so far?
Yeah, right now, looking at some of the trends, Nathan Rourke, we're going back to the well on his passing yards. And I was looking at weeks 5 through 14. He has consistently hit 300 plus passing yards per game. I think I think he's only missed that mark twice between weeks 5 and week 14. So that's pretty significant. I think that we're probably going to look in that 300 plus pass yard range, and then looking at Justin McInnis and maybe some receiving milestones for him. Justin McInnis right now is certainly, we've seen the production go up. He had 148 yards against Ottawa last week. He's had 2 games now over the last 4 weeks in which he's hit over 140 yards receiving. So, this is the Justin McInnis numbers that we've seen previously. Now they're starting to happen later into the season. And the thing that is, I think, really exciting, if you're looking at this from a betting perspective, is the target number. So he's hit 9 or more targets in 3 out of his last 4 games. So he's starting to see that volume. You're starting to see the production go up. So I think it's time to put in a Justin McInnis receiving milestone into this bet. And right now, like I said, 56 points, the total, we're going to include the over 56 here. And the reason for it is I just don't really see how that streak comes to an end in this game. There's really been no indicator that we're in for kind of a lower scoring game. And so I think that right now, continue to look at the over for this parlay. Going back to Justin McInnis, guys, revisiting the futures here, but his preseason total was 1,200.5 receiving yards. He's now 386 yards short of that number. And it was earlier in the season, I didn't know if he was going to quite get to that mark. It was the highest receiving total that we had for the season. And Justin McKiss has really hit his stride recently. And now, we're closing in on, he definitely could hit the over 1,200.5 receiving yards. And looking at the schedule, he would need to average about 64 yards receiving per game for that over to hit. So it's suddenly creeping back up there.
All right. Well said. All kinds of possibilities at stake, and we're hoping for a big bounce back. And it's a log jam, still very much in our hands. So we shall see. Thank you, Cam.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. See you Friday.
Cam.
Between the Lines with Cam Tucker. Back next week on First and Now.